Can I say that the cat speaks to me? I mean, I
Yeah.
know it's really cheesy, but the cat speaks to me like telepathically, or
No problem. That's how Pedro is doing with his dog, so it's just the same. That works fine.
okay. So we're two policemen who talks internally with their pet.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Another thing, I read in your mail that that Pedro's character is from Stockholm. My character is either from Konya, which is like the
Right.
mid-southern part of Turkey, or Istanbul.
Okay.
It's a big change. It's a big change.
Right. I went and I looked. Had already collected a bunch of tourist maps from Istanbul, and so I'm willing to go to Konya, but I'm not quite as prepared. And
Okay.
I like the idea that he feels very loyal to his city, that he grew up
Yeah.
there. And I also like the idea that we are going to be nice and close to the ruins, so we don't have to go and take a huge train ride every single time we want to go.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and besides, I looked at Konya, and I am pretty impressed. Ingmar is about to be the character who gets to see Konya for the first time, and then he will receive the description. So I won't do that now.
Okay.
So to move straight into things, we are going to take a look at two bodies in two morgues, two different morgues, half a continent apart. One of them is in a room that is it's a new morgue, and it has, therefore, the tiles are very clean. All of the equipment is very it's very new. It's very well kept and organized. Every shelf is labeled, and the route that bodies come into the morgue and the route that they are taken out is very efficient. There's a way to come in and a way to go out if you are dead, and it has a great vent, so the air circulates really nicely, and so you don't see anybody throwing up in the sink or something like that. There's a little place where you stop before you go in the main door, and that's where you prepare yourself, and there are hooks for your coat and the special jacket that you put on and things like that. It's all very very modern, very nice. And so in this morgue, there is a little bit of a problem, because there is a tough-looking police detective who is being told for the first time in his entire career that he may not go into the morgue. And that is Ingmar, who is not on the case to investigate the death of his partner and friend Julia, or colleague and friend Julia. You have not been assigned to the case, and I assume that, given your character's habits, that going to the morgue would be the first thing on his list this morning. But you cannot go in. Marcus, who works there, says no. And that is very strange, because Marcus, the only thing you are used to hearing from Marcus is yes, sir. And so at the same time, a distance away, there's another morgue, which also is relatively new and very... the room is not new. Unlike the one in Sweden, this room is not new. This is an old police station, or it's not really in the station. You don't keep the morgue in the station. But the building is an old building, and in Konya, that can mean really old. Or at least the foundation could be really, really old. And however, the equipment in the room and uh, the means for record keeping and things like that are equally modern. You have, the computer monitors set up at chest height so people can work on, or at this height, so a person can stand there and type things into the computers. There are different drawers for different things. And it is the layout's a little different because the bodies have to go in and out the same way. But so it's an older room, but all of the equipment is also completely new, completely well kept. So these are two morgues that don't look like anything in the movies, where they look like they might be in some monastery somewhere, or they have slime dripping down the walls or something stupid like that. These places, they're very different rooms, but they look pretty well, professional. Now, in the Swedish one, everything is incredibly quiet and the lights are very soft. In the Turkish one, there's a lot of staff. People are going back and forth. There are other problems to deal with that involve bodies. Konya is a city of 2.1 million people. And there are several different police centers through the whole city. And then several different kinds of facilities. But here is a main one. And so there are more problems than just this one. So there are staff who are busy with other bodies to process or with reports to prepare. And so just outside this area is a room full of desks, a room full of, cubicles, for people to sit at and for all their papers to fall all over and people to call on their phones and things like that. So that is all happening outside this room. And inside this room is Ahmet, who is busy with, who's looking at the report. He's waiting for the body. And he's busy with the report, which, to his shock, as he has just discovered, his friend Mehmet has been discovered dead. And this is kind of a tragedy. He's kind of the one person that you feel you can talk to who's not your cat. So this is a little bit shocking to you. And you're busy. Right now you are just looking at the report. You insisted on seeing the real report, not, I'm going to guess, tell me if I'm wrong. You wanted to see the real report in paper rather than just see what was on the screen. You want the real thing, with the ink on it, right? So it sounds like your character. So now, and I would also say that at Stockholm, the report would be handed to you on an iPad. They would hand you an iPad, and that's what you would use to look at the report in that morgue. But like I said, Marcus is not letting you in. So the first thing that I want to do is just to ask you what your characters do, whether you involve your demons, and how are you going to deal with this rather traumatic situation of the reported deaths of people who are very close to you in these rooms of death.
Ibarz, you want to go first?
Okay. Ahmed goes outside in order to get some fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Outside, I guess there are trees and birds and
lots of parks. Lots of parks in Konya, I have discovered. Yes.
Yeah. And he goes outside. He goes under a tree, and there are police officers there standing, chatting. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the other police officers know that his best friend died. But probably they are aware of the situation and they're kind of, getting some distance from him in order to not mess things up.
Well, nobody wants to be scolded by Ahmed in a bad mood.
Yeah. So he doesn't. I guess he wants to scream,
Hmm.
but all he does is that he touches this old tree, I guess cedar, and he tries to he tries to grab the outside of the tree in order to just remove the trunk, like he's
Right.
gripping
Yes.
the outer shell of the tree, and at the same time kind of looks at the people, and with his eyes he just wants them to understand to not look, just
I see.
stare away.
Okay. Well, in that case, I was going to have you make a will roll, but I have changed my mind. You're going to
Okay.
make a humanity roll because you are appealing to them as another person. So,
Okay.
and I'm going to give you a bonus die because of the tree,
Okay.
because I like the tree.
Okay. How do you roll the dice? That's
I will
my
show.
first question.
Yes. What is? We should check your humanity score, but I'm going to give you a break just for a moment.
Okay.
What is your humanity score right now on your sheet?
Sorry, the line went
That's
off.
okay. What is the number for your humanity?
I didn't write it down.
That's okay.
The last.
What is higher? I think your will is higher than your stamina. What is your will? What is
My
that?
will is 4.
Your humanity is 4.
Okay.
We may challenge that in a moment, but just for the moment, I'm going to give you a little break. So just roll 4 dice, and they need to be 10-sided dice.
Okay, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, and roll 1 more. I'm giving you a bonus die.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I by the way, I only have 4 D10s. So
Okay, just right. But
okay.
Just don't forget the one that you're re-rolling. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Currently, I have 1, 1, 2, 4. I'm just gonna roll another 1,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a 6. So it's
Okay.
6, 4, 2, 1, 1.
Well, as Pedro knows, that's a terrible roll. And what you do is you just take the highest number. Your value is the highest
6.
number. Yes. Well, it beats mine. I rolled for their willpower of the other policeman. I rolled 3, which is a nice basic will for a human, and their highest was a 4. So you have a higher value. That means that your humanity as a person appeals to them. They feel your feelings.
Okay.
And they respect that. They on the basis of simply understanding that you're unhappy, that you feel bad, they are going to give you some space. They understand what you need. In fact, the way they do it, instead of just looking away and ignoring you in a kind of dismissive way, one of them nods at you, like, we get it, and they move aside, courteously. So they're not ignoring you; they're respecting you. So that's what happens with you. I'm going to have some interaction as well. Up above in the tree, there's a little bit of movement as a tabby cat settles itself more comfortably into the branches, and you are aware of Solomon asking you, and he says, or it says, "Why do you care?"
It was my best friend Solomon. That's why I care. Beside you.
Right. Solomon actually makes a little cat noise, which would be very much a noise of protest, that it is not the best friend. Speaking of best anything, Jonathan, what are you doing?
I was wondering when you were going to come up.
I'm not coming up for a long time. I am working, and I have asked you not to interrupt. Okay.
Okay.
Close the door.
Long time. What do you mean by
I have been trying to train the children to completely avoid my working time, but they still have a little trouble. So, well, yes, Solomon is not very pleased at this implication. You were a little late in your correction, and doesn't like your answer. So your issue here, let's check on a couple of things for you. First of all, we could have done this earlier. We are going to see whether binding Solomon cost you any humanity when you did it.
Okay.
So I'm going to roll Solomon's power.
Which is 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to roll my humanity, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
4 dice
Okay.
for you. Okay.
Okay. My highest dice is 9.
You lose 1 point of humanity, so your humanity is really just 3.
Okay.
Pedro is there's a reason why he's laughing. He lost humanity on his first roll, on his binding roll,
Okay.
and I made him lose some on his first session too. And anyway, he had a lot of bad luck with his humanity. So,
Okay.
so Pedro, let's go ahead and do this with Odd John as well. What I have here, anyway, only gives him a power of 6, unless. It depends on what you got for the. Did you decide what you wanted for the protection?
Yeah, I was thinking about fast
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
and maybe I was thinking maybe armor or what was the name? I forgot. Confuse.
Right. Fast and confused is very, very good combination.
Let's run with that then.
Yeah, then that gives you a power and a will of 7. So in your case, why don't you take your starting humanity, which I think is what, 5?
4.
4. Okay, go ahead and roll. What is Solomon's need? To be praised, right? To be
praised and appraisal.
right. Did you give Solomon a desire?
The desire, the last time we talked about, is controlling others is what's all is about.
Oh, got it. Okay, control. Got it. Good, good, good. Okay, I am all set.
Yeah, this isn't working.
Oh, well. No dice?
Yep. No.
Oh, you look like you're in a scientific place, so there won't be a lot of 10-sided dice anywhere. So,
Yeah, if you could roll
yeah,
it for me,
I
and I
will.
will try to solve this.
that's okay.
Sorry about that.
Interestingly enough, you get an excellent roll, and you do not lose a point of humanity, which irritates me a lot. So,
Well.
Yes, you are starting with a 4. Okay.
Okay. Great.
So tell me what you do first of all.
So, me, right?
Yes, that's true. Sorry.
Just to clarify, so this is the first body, right? Because in my write-up, I had written that the first 2 bodies weren't found, right? So this
Correct.
is
Correct.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that we are on the
Well,
same
this is
page.
at the moment. You know that Julia has been killed, and also that it is supposed to be similar to the part of the case that you were in charge of, and yet you have not been assigned to Julia's murder.
Exactly. So how did I know that Julia was there? Can we just say that my boss said something probably?
Actually, I would say that no secret remains safe from Ingmar in terms of ordinary professional staff information.
Okay.
So
he's so I'm at the door with Marcus, probably in that antechamber where we hang the codes
Right.
and stuff like that. Marcus is just there next to the door. I ask him, "Is someone else inside the room?"
He says, no, nobody's there. Max has, I guess he would probably say, Captain Olson, who's Max, says that you are not to be involved in this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, Captain Olson says a lot of things. Max, Marcus, I need to go in.
All right, so
Just do him this favor.
Right. This is a will roll, and tell me if you think your price is involved.
Nah, I don't think so.
No? Okay. I thought things were kind of shitty, but that's okay. So,
Yeah, not as I described it
Okay,
here.
that's
But
fine.
we can discuss it.
No, I don't mind. I'm trying to discover your vision. You see,
Yeah.
so that's, and I'm happy with your vision. I just need to find it by pushing at it a little.
Yeah.
So then, okay. So this is a plain old will on will roll.
Yeah.
You are basically overcoming his better judgment and sense of self-preservation, and you're going to see if you can simply physically, or sorry, impress him that you really mean it. And so go ahead and roll for your will.
I just found out that I have a problem. It's the app is not working.
Okay.
So it has been disabled. I'm going to have to ask you to make the rolls this time.
Okay. So no problem. And in fact, you have a will of what? Of
4.
4. Ibars, could you roll for Pedro, please?
Okay, so I'm just going to roll 4 dice, man.
And say the highest value?
It's 0.
That's a 10.
10, okay, yes.
My highest value is a 9. So, Marcus, kind of puts his face down when Swedes do something they don't want to do or that they don't think is right. They sort of become unpeople for a moment. It's hard to describe. They kind of just, it's a Nordic thing. You just sort of stop being a person and become furniture. And so, and he just steps aside and pushes the door open a little bit so that Ingmar can go through.
I do a un-Swedish thing. I put my hand on his shoulder.
That's right.
As I go in.
Uh-huh.
And I tell him it's just for 15 minutes.
Right. Okay, so
yeah.
Well, the situation is that you've probably learned that her body was supposed to be processed for forensics this morning. So I'm going to say that you showed up really early before the forensic team. Seems to make sense.
Yeah.
So that means that the body should be there, just like horribly waiting for all these people to come and use scanners and stuff. And you will find that the table where she should be put on, which can be raised and lowered and tilted, and the equipment's great. Okay, it's there, and there's even some instrumentation that's been made ready. Like that iPad that I was talking about is sitting out so people can put in, enter information into it. But there's some cloth there that would be draping the body, but it's been sort of scattered. And there's no body.
There's no like a
place like the drawer and stuff like that.
Yeah,
all that's in the other room because that would be disgusting. They wheel it in from there, and all that has been done. I mean, it looks as when you look around, the body's gone from there. It looks like they had probably Marcus had properly set her up.
So I just opened the door again.
Mm-hmm.
Is Marcus there?
Sure.
Marcus, where's Julia?
He looks at you as though he doesn't even understand what you're saying. He looks at you, and it takes 2 seconds, and then he just does the whole reaction that it just almost like a duck. That what do you mean? And he pushes in right past you and looks there and is pointing, and of course she was right there.
So when I look back again, she's there?
No, he is saying she was right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of put the hand on my face. Marcus, what's going on? Come on, man, this is not a good morning. This is Julie. What the fuck is going on?
The first thing that's going on, he says, is that you need to get out of here. Because if they find you here and they find her gone, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So whatever it is whatever it is, I will tell you as soon as we figure it out. But they're going to be here in 15 minutes.
Okay, Marcus, you just call me right away as soon as
absolutely
you know what the fuck is going on.
Marcus nods.
Okay, I'm going to leave right now.
Right.
Okay,
so,
Marcus, thanks. Oh, you won.
Mm-hmm.
I leave.
And as you leave, just as you are leaving, you will see this is the demon power. You're familiar with it because Odd John's around here somewhere, and you are familiar with this, but you're not perhaps in the mood quite to deal with it at the moment. But there is a man sitting on the little place there. They have the little bench that you slide your shoes into, right? And so it's not really meant for a person to sit on for any length of time, except maybe to pull your shoes on. And it's right there with all the coats and everything. So it's not really there for anybody to sit on. But regardless, there is a person sitting there. So you're changing out the coat, and this person is sitting right there on the bench. And that person is a man who does not look Swedish or Nordic. And he looks more Mediterranean, which is an extremely broad range of appearances. This particular person has very fair skin and sandy hair, kind of light brown hair, a little bit curly, not wavy, wavy hair, and he is sitting there, and he is wearing some kind of a drape. He's got no clothes on, but he's got like some kind of sheet that he's holding on himself, and you can see that he has the tattooing that you recognize from the other murders, and he's sitting there. This is like the Sixth Sense. He's just sitting there staring at you. So you're standing there. There's like a dead guy sitting on the bench, looking at you in a very aware way. The person is very aware. So they're not like lying there like a corpse, but they are.
Yeah.
But you're familiar with this. You have seen dead people before. Yeah. And so, but what's interesting here is that although he has those tattoos, he was not in the cases that you know about.
Yeah. I guess my character is thinking if maybe someone was not associated with this, with the murders as far as the case goes, but is actually a victim or not. But anyway, I mean, if I kind of changed the ability of the demon, so I don't actually talk with him.
Right. Yes, you just glimpse him. You just see him a little bit. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I get that. That's why.
Kind of like. Right. Yeah. Right. I'm kind of like. I guess that in these situations, I kind of just stand there, kind of trying to. I may say hello just for the sake of it, but in a sense, kind of an inside joke for myself. But in a sense, I'm just kind of seeing if there's anything else coming out of it.
That's what the power is this perception roll to get some kind of content out of it. So you need to make the perception check, which is going to be the 7 dice. So I have 7 dice. It's easier for me to roll.
Okay.
And so you're going to be working against a certain amount of dice. It's a little tricky not to have all the dice in front of us, so I have to remember a little bit. Okay, that's pretty easy to remember. Oh, wow. Okay. So we had very similar rolls, and just so you know, both had a high value of 8. Then your roll had 3 7s before dropping to 6. That roll had 2 7s before dropping to 6. So, Ibars, do you see how it works? If you tie out at the top, you just go to the next level, and then you see. And if you have multiple values, 3 7s will be 2 7s.
Okay.
So it's very intuitive. There's no need to add or count or anything like that. So, so yes, what this means is that you succeed only by one victory. So the only thing you know is that the person is saying a name over and over, and it's hard to get the yes, and it's hard to get the. Maybe you can just see it, but the person's mouth, you're able to, you've succeeded in the role, so you can see the word that they are saying is Ahmet. It's a name, Ahmet.
Ahmed.
Yes. It's hard to lip read, but the pronunciation is not Arabic, which is Ahmed, but Ahmet.
Ahmed.
Ahmet. I'm working on it, Ibars. Yeah.
No, you know what? It's perfect.
Oh, thanks.
It's really, really perfect, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm going by my friends from Turkey that I know, but
oh, really?
yeah, but it's not all that. I'll pull up a few names that are all ripping off my friends. So
Okay.
but anyway, it's something I like. Accents, languages, cultures. I try.
The names that I have given you are
Right.
standard names. Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
really standard.
Well, no, I was
John.
looking at it and saying, okay, this is John, Bill, and Joe, right? So, but I will say, I would find even Turkish easier than Finnish.
It shares the same language tree.
Yeah,
Finnish
yeah.
and Turkish, it shares
Yeah.
the same language tree. It's really bizarre, but yeah.
Which is awesome for our purposes. Well, except that he's in Stockholm. But Stockholm and Finnish culture, the Swedes don't like to admit it, but that archipelago, that is one shared culture, even though it has two languages. So,
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So I think Ingmar, I mean, if there's nothing else, I think Ingmar, I mean, he has an intuitive sense for when basically whatever he can get from these visions is over.
Right.
So I guess he just, he just moves on. He kind of looks the other way, picks up his coat, and goes on before the other people arrive, and that's it.
It is very interesting information, though, because usually when you're at a murder scene or at the morgue, the dead person you see is either the dead person that you're looking at, or it is somebody who's very closely related to the situation. This is the complete disconnect is really strange.
Yeah, I guess Ingmar is kind of like also a bit focusing on how the guy looks because it has no relationship to this.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, he senses that
right.
He gets the information. There's nothing more happening.
Right.
It just kind of moves on. It's just like this flash momentarily.
Right. Exactly. In fact, it might be that even as you're concentrating, you're into a more normal space in a minute or so, and he's gone.
I mean, if this was on TV, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
We wouldn't see like him looking and then it disappears the person, or it just moves on.
Right.
The message is taken.
Right. So I want to go back to Ahmet, who is talking to his cat, because I really would like to get that interaction settled, which is that Solomon is irritated and is going. You've seen this before. He will put his tail straight up in the air, turn around, which shows you a piece of cat's anatomy very directly, and then is going to walk off, and the message is very clear. Well, you can just do without me for a while. So the question is whether you're going to provide a little bit of need.
Yeah. I think I will go right back after Solomon. Quietly, and just I kneel down, I put forward my hand and tries to I try to tell him, hey, kitty, come here, because there are people around. But at the same time, in my mind, I'm saying that, Solomon, I'm really sorry, but you have to understand. At least try to, or act like you understand. You're my best friend since I was 9. But you and I share a different world,
and
I respect this relationship. But you have to understand that I have to share the world with other people, human beings. So
Well, the Solomon really likes the whole business about how you guys share a special world. So we'll curl up and purr and be a very charming cat. And so, with that said, when you look at the report, now that you have a chance to look at the folder and things like that, you will find a couple of things about it that are very hard to understand. One of them is that it looks as though it is a very disorganized, unplanned killing, like an assault. Like somebody had just surprised him and in the street or something, and for, in a very unplanned way. So he is bruised. He looks as though he had fallen. It looks as though somebody had, smashed him a few times and may not even have intended to kill them. I mean, the point is that there's no specific death wound. It's not like somebody stabbed him or shot him. And there's random injuries, of which the killing injury is one of them.
okay.
So, and he was found in a public place, and which is also, I think, a little bit unusual. Random public murder or assault is not very common, even in a city this big. And so, I mean, it's not like in a bar or something. It's not like in a home or a set of apartments or in traffic or something when people disagree. Nothing like that. And so it's very strange. He's just a park, another park that he was found in. And so that's one thing. The other thing, however, is that he had been freshly tattooed.
Okay.
And this is extremely strange for lots of reasons, but they're fairly extensive.
Okay.
So it looks as though and they were prior to death.
Can I have a copy of the tattoo?
Absolutely. In fact, it's probably in the folder with photographs
Okay.
and things.
What does it resembles? Like a symbol or a name?
Yes, this is where your lore comes into play.
Okay.
And so you would roll dice equal to your lore, which is a nice solid set of dice, I think, for you.
It's just 4.
It's
4.
there are worse things than 4.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Believe me.
My highest number is 10, followed by 9 and 7, 7. So 9, 10.
To give you an
10,
idea
9,
of
7,
how,
7.
right, to give you an idea of, for some reason, the way we are rolling in this game, my 3 dice are a 10, a 9, and a 4.
So I beat you with 7,
You're
7.
7, yeah.
Yeah.
You beat me with the 7s, yeah. So we seem to be doing a lot of ties this time around, so it's just useful to learn that it's a learning process, so you get quick at this.
Absolutely.
So this is the strange thing. You are really, I mean, how could a person be tattooed like this at all? And why would Mehmet do anything like that? And this is what you're looking at when you're looking at them. These resemble some of the ritual spaces in the ancient city. Some of the artifacts in some of the areas that have been identified as ritual spaces.
Okay.
And they are it's not an exact match. You don't say, oh, this is exactly like that one wall, but it's the same style, and it is the same. I mean, this is a language that they have not yet translated, but you know a lot more about it than anyone else on Earth, and the language, what you are seeing with this symbolism, seems to have something to do with it seems a very strange thing to be talking about in tattoos, but it is more like what you would expect to be associated with architecture, with the design of buildings or of anything like that. So it's almost as though someone has drawn a map, or better yet, instructions for a map.
Okay. Got
on
it.
him. So so that's the issue. So you're looking at this. So anyway, go ahead.
I have a question. Will the authorities gonna classify this death as a murder or as like a assault? I mean, if it's gonna be investigated or if it's gonna be shelved.
Right.
You know,
well, first of all, Mehmet is okay. There are several things to say about that. The nature of the death itself, it would be only the coroner's report, so it is not a judgment. It is not a final statement about. But the decision about whether to treat it as a homicide to be investigated is up to you and your immediate staff.
Okay.
So you're not the only person who decides. There are lawyers involved and people like that. But you are the police authority who would be among the people who would decide.
Okay.
And in this case, your friendship with the dead person does not remove you from that decision. It might remove you from certain other decisions, and someone else would have to be involved. But not in this case. For this decision, you are involved.
Okay. I think definitely it's going to be a murder, but it will be personally investigated by me and me only. And probably I will going to instruct all the other personnel like street cops, plainclothes, even traffic police, report directly to me.
This is going to be a cover role, and it's actually kind of important because if people disobey this, then we are going to have some interesting plot developments.
Okay.
So
I'm going to still roll 4 dice.
That's right.
My highest number is 9.
Okay, good. Everybody seems to be doing what you say.
Okay.
So you're able to organize this so that directly or indirectly, this is going to be moderated by you.
Okay.
So that's...
I will probably go to a central tracking station, like a CCTV station,
right?
Where they have cameras all around the city.
Absolutely.
And probably I'm gonna ask the chief, not the operative, but the chief, the
manager of that. Yes.
Yeah, the manager of that unit to show me the cameras of that park, like. A couple of, I mean, the killing was occurred yesterday or the day before.
It should probably be. It would have occurred very, very late at night.
Okay.
And so this is the very next morning. You would have been told right away, because somebody would know that you knew the guy. So, let's also clarify a couple of things. To get there, you get on one of these cool trams that goes through Konya. And these things are great, Pedro. You have these, it's like wire cables that run everywhere. And then you have these Disney World things, cars hanging from them. They look like little spaceships. And they go zoom along the cables.
Yeah.
Right, with no tracks. And so that's the big train across Turkey. The ones in the city, just to go from place to place, they sit on tracks, and they also look kind of like Disneyland too. But the ones but you have to go out. Actually, this is on the outskirts of the city. This was not inside the main part of the city. So, so you actually have to get on one of these trains and go out to a suburb to talk there. So, so there's lots of questions. What was he doing there? What is up with these tattoos? It goes on and on. The CCTV is just one step in all of these things to ask. I understand. So we'll leave you there, starting to collect and things like that. We can talk more about the content in just a little bit. But I will say that you're going to not be able to completely do this by yourself. Sooner or later, everybody under you is obeying you,
Okay.
but over you is a different story. And so what they have done, once the word about these tattoos come out, because this is unique. This is unique. You cannot just keep it to yourself. And within a few days, the administration will decide. And so this is the big police administration of Konya, not just your district. This administration will decide that there is only one expert from Sweden, of all places. Now, granted, there are not a whole lot of murders in Sweden, even in a big city. The rate is incredibly low. But this person's himself and his staff, their ability to manage strange ritualistic killings is very high. So it's not that many cases, but the success rate is incredible. This guy has solved 5 or 6 disgusting killing cases, that's insane to solve all of them. That's insane.
I think
So,
Ahmet's only knowledge from Sweden is IKEA.
right.
So,
Exactly.
so he's like, wow. I mean,
Yeah. Well, you've never dealt with a ritual killing before. I think this is. You've never seen that. For you, all this has always been your special demonic city visits and has very little to do with solving problems of crime.
Yeah.
Crime, frankly, is kind of boring. Most crimes are pretty easy to understand, and you just ask a few people who know the guy and don't like him, and it's not that hard. And so this is the first time you've kind of been in Weirdland for a murder. You've been in Weirdland lots of ways when you're in the city.
Yeah.
But this is different. So, and you know that there's this strange connection with things that ancient things, very ancient things. Those markings that I described, the tourists do not get to see those. You cannot go on the internet and look at them.
Okay.
That's another thing. If some idiot just wanted to go and find strange ancient runes to carve into his murder victims, there's lots of places on the internet they can go to find that, but they would not find these.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, Pedro, Ingmar, I assume is going to be struggling to figure out the situation, and so we can give both of you. I'd like a general picture of what you do before you get in a plane and fly to Konya. And there may be a stop in Istanbul for the airport, but there's but Konya has a pretty big airport. And like I said, 2.1 million people. Sweden has about 9 million people in the whole country.
Do you know how many people live in Istanbul?
In Istanbul, no, I don't. I could look it up, but I didn't.
Close to 20 million.
20 million. Oh, unbelievable. Even in, I lived in Chicago, and the greater Chicago area, so all of the outlying areas, is close to 9 million. So, and that's considered to be, a very, very sizable city. So, 20 million people is hard for me to imagine.
I mean, officially it's like 15 or 16, but unofficially it's 20, man.
Right.
I believe it's 20. I believe, because there are lots of people unaccounted for.
Right. Well, and also the districts and whether this whole area counts or not, Yeah. So, so good. So anyway, I would like to get a little bit of an idea. Both of you are in very troubling situations, and I'm sure characters like yours are not going to just wait for the game master to throw you together. The characters are going to do something. So give me a little bit of an idea, especially anybody that you might find yourself talking to.
Okay. Pedro, you go ahead, man.
Okay. Well, just for about my kicker and the whole snuff movie stuff. So I had written there that
The guy had actually said that there was a message for you. Right.
yeah. So I would assume that maybe I don't know yet. I mean, I just
Right.
this is the kicker, but we're not really there yet because my idea is I just knew about Julia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to the
Mm-hmm.
whatever the name is in English, the
Morgue?
police station.
Oh, police station, yes.
The police station, because I just left the morgue. I can't be there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm going back to the police station, and I know that they had the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that maybe the body was found more or less at the same time that the
Right.
movie was
Yes, of course.
was delivered. And I know also that there was some kind of message.
Yes.
And because we haven't established any of that, then that's my objective right now to
Sure.
go there,
Uh-huh.
ask Captain Olson, Max,
Mhm.
if he's there, unless he went to the morgue. But it doesn't really matter. I just want to ask someone
Right.
what's the content of the movie and what was the message. Basically.
Yes.
So that's my objective right now.
Uh-huh. So the tricky thing for this is only that when you get there, old John begins to whine and to look frightened and keeps bumping against your legs, making it kind of hard for you to get in. And that would seem kind of like no big deal, this little dog just tried to stop you, but it does have a strength of 6, a stamina of 6, and that's actually pretty damn hard to get past. He's doing a really good job of blocking you, and he's looking very upset, and he even pees a little on the floor.
Where exactly are we when that happened?
You are inside the police station, and you are
Okay.
talking. This is the evidence archive area, where the material, like access to the digitized movie, would be available.
Okay, and the dog is right there, and everyone sees the dog.
No, the dog is right there, but nobody sees the dog. Inconspicuous. Free,
Except me.
yes, free
Or I
cloak
feel
found.
it,
Yeah,
or I kind of
exactly. Yeah,
feel it.
you see him, and you know everyone is wondering why you just stumbled a little bit. Right, exactly. Oh, and someone else says, "Oh, there's that smell again," which no one ever seems to realize is you or near you. But
Yeah.
someone says, "Oh, they just cleaned it this morning. What the hell?" Right.
Yeah, I say, can you give me just 5 minutes?
But fun.
Maybe I just peed myself. Just five minutes. I go to the toilet, and I have a pocket full of crackers, obviously.
Right.
And I just pop some cracker in that. John, what's the matter now? I really need to
Right.
hurry up. What's the matter, John?
I just want to get the image here. You know what kind of dog this is, right? Ibars, the bull terrier. They have this strange.
Small.
Well, it's got
like
this.
a nose like this.
Well, it's almost like there is no nose. The whole head just comes forward like a crocodile. Just this one big blunt object is the head, and the head is like too big for the rest of the dog. So what he has is crackers, and all we can see is Ingmar holding up the crackers, and then this like Jaws, like the shark, coming up and getting their crackers. So
If someone goes to the toilet, I'm inside
right,
one of the sections, so they're just hearing me like.
that's right. There's like crunch, crunch, crunch,
Here's another
crunch.
cracker.
Yeah, sure. Crunch, crunch, crunch. So
The guy lost his mind.
yes, well, everyone knows you're a little weird, but you're a great cop. So yes, John is very clear and says, "Don't do it. We don't have to know. This is no good.
What?
We don't
watch it.
We
Or
don't."
don't ask. Nothing.
Says we don't have to know. This is not a problem. We don't have to make it a problem. We have a good life. You're happy?
Yeah, I'm super happy, John.
That's
But this was Julia.
Yeah.
This is Julia we're talking about here.
John acknowledges that Julia was kind of nice. Yeah, she's okay. And
She gave you crackers also.
well, I have you. So yeah, John is trying to get you to, you know what? You're not on the investigation. You don't have to look at a body. You don't.
John,
Let's
what
go
are
home.
you trying to tell me? What are you trying to
Let's-
tell me? You're acting weird, even weirder than you are usually already. What's wrong? This is Julia. I'm gonna have to know.
Uh-huh. So, how did you bind Odd John? With what skill? Or, sorry, with what attribute? Stamina, will, or lore? How did you bind your demon originally?
Yeah.
Because there came a time when you had to decide to make this relationship work. Even though you didn't really know any of the devices of being a sorcerer, well, you've worked it out by now. So, a little bit. So, tell me, did you use stamina? Did you use will?
Probably will.
Okay.
Probably it's... Yeah.
Roll
Probably
your
will.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, roll 4 for him, Ibars, please. 4 dice.
The highest one is 5.
Oh, God. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Well, let me just...
Sorry, man.
Okay. So, Pedro, you're going to make a will roll on Odd John. And I will just tell you right now, you are not getting any bonus dice for this interaction. So we know how the binding went, don't we? So, therefore, you are going to roll your 4 dice, and I am going to roll some as well.
Okay, I'm gonna re-roll 4 dice.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the current.
Okay, the highest one is 10, followed by 9, followed by 8, followed by 7.
Okay, you're making up for last time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, you, despite the fact that he's always kind of had the edge in this relationship, this time, it's clear. We are not fucking around this time. So we are really seeing, even though you are a naive sorcerer, we are seeing mastery of your demon. You know, if he's going to whine about anything, it's going to be about you. And in fact, he gets the idea, rolls over on his back, and, you know, displays all of his private parts to you in the dog submission way. So, I didn't expect all these animals to be quite so crude, but now that I'm role-playing animals, it's what they do all the time. So, I didn't really anticipate that part. So
I very kindly,
right, you rub his belly,
do
right.
the dog thing,
right? So okay, but yes, he will cooperate, and he says, "Well, all right, but you have to promise to protect me." Which is a very strange thing. Right, yeah, which is a very strange thing.
We're going to have to discuss this later.
Right. He has never, ever mentioned in your whole relationship you protecting him.
Yeah,
the relationship is, I am your dog. Yeah, I am your dog. Don't worry about it. I've got you. I'll watch, I'll guard, I'll fight. And this time he's like, you... Okay.
Yeah, when he says that, I feel my hairs in the back of my neck kind of prickling.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we go back, I guess.
Well, now it's time to check out the message. And the message is, well, it's not in a language you recognize. And with a little bit of police effort, which is not very hard, Sweden is notable for its international relations in law enforcement. We have a lot of international connections, so it should be pretty easy for you to start comparing languages. And there's almost certainly some language experts that you can sit down with and talk to. And even though you're not allowed to be on the case as the investigator, Max is okay with you getting, with talking to you privately about this a little bit. And this business with the body changes everything. What happened?
So they didn't let me watch the movie, right?
No, they didn't let you watch the movie, but the message part. they clued you in on, and so you've been checking on the language as well as everybody else who's involved, who is very few people, and you are, it's not. The person says this is some kind of an ancient language, whether it's it's some branch of the Kalevala and Turkic, axis, which ran up and down this whole longitude for thousands of years, but is a dead language, and we don't have writing for it, and it's just in that family, but it's very old.
Finno-Ugric.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, it's hard to, all the language guys in the police station are geeks, and they cannot help but start talking about the Kalavide and things like that. So that's the epic of Finland. So therefore, I will say, unless you want to talk about anything else, I wouldn't mind that Selma unusually comes to get you at the station. So the Selma is, sorry, I'm switching
My
to
wife.
Ahmed. Yeah, Selma is Ahmed's wife, and she's going to appear and is going to be very gentle toward Ahmed and say that, I know you're working hard. I know there's a lot of things going on. She heard. She doesn't even have to say, I heard this or that. She just says, I heard, and I just want to be here for you. So maybe we can walk a little bit or spend some time at home or something like that. Which is a little bit unusual because you guys are not really getting along all that well. But so she's making a special effort.
Is Solomon near me at this time?
We can be.
Okay. Because I want to see his reaction when she enters the scene or when she interacts with him.
I see.
Like,
Solomon is always very conspicuously neutral around Selma, which is, and in fact, she is the only person that that your cat is completely not positive, not negative. Everybody else, Solomon has an opinion.
Okay.
It's usually a kind of selfish opinion, but it's an opinion.
Okay.
But Selma is off limits. Your business.
Okay. So
Solomon just curls up, becomes interested in something else.
Okay. In that case, Ahmed grabs her hand and leaves the station out to probably in the front yard, and he tells her that he's devastated by this affair and really appreciates her support.
Excellent.
And,
she says, I've been thinking a lot. This hit me hard too. That I think I'm going to change a little bit. I'm going to bend a little bit. I'm going to let some things go. Okay?
Okay.
So she says, it might be a little bit hard for us, but I just want to let you know. Do you want me to let you alone now?
No. I mean,
okay.
Well, it's just police building and front yard. It's not a, flower garden, but
right.
You can stay.
Okay.
You want me to bring you some tea or coffee?
Sure.
Or should I call the boys, and bring some cracker, in Turkey, there's a strange thing. I mean, in Mediterranean culture, if you're a high bureaucrat, you can order the lower staff to get anything. Like if there's a new boy who enters the
right, a junior employee or officer, yes,
junior,
yeah,
you can tell him to grab me some coffee, I don't care, grab me
Like a sandwich or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He will probably do it like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, let's just get a good look at the culture and have that happen. So that sounds fun.
Okay.
All right. So great. So yes, she will, sit somewhere,
Okay.
legal and have some coffee. All right.
Okay.
Well, so with all of these things happening and a little bit of investigation that you guys we can work on in a bit, let's have this assignment for Ingmar that you are going to be flying down because this case in Turkey has led to a coordination of law enforcement, especially because of the unusual circumstances. Somebody who saw these tattoos has some connection with somebody who knows about the investigation up in Sweden. And so there is an unofficial acknowledgement that there needs to be some information sharing.
Okay.
And Max sees a really good opportunity to get you out of here. He knows that as long as you already went and snooped into the film when you weren't supposed to, right? Max has been keeping his mouth shut, but he also has this really guilty look on his face every time Marcus has been keeping his mouth shut, but every time Max looks at him, he looks guilty. So, Max figures this is a really good time to get you out of here, and you're still working on the case. He will keep you informed on these matters as things proceed. So,
how long is this been going on? Basically, since I went to the police station and we started looking at the languages.
That's up to you guys. I mean, it seems to me as though the connection to get it arranged for you to come, that's not going to happen in just 24 hours. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing takes a couple of days to be arranged, but it is a little bit informal, so it's faster than you might think. If it was completely official, then it would take 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But surprisingly, it's just a couple of days. Somebody called somebody.
Yeah. And what's the
and Max made it move fast. He's like, get him out of here.
And the whole idea why I'm going there is basically because it looks like a ritualistic murder.
You get those. You see the file. You see the photographs, and you know this is it. This is the same damn thing.
Okay, that's what needs to be clear. Okay.
Right.
I'm kind of associating that there's a connection.
Absolutely.
Here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Another
thing.
And also make a. This is just a kind of a cover roll. Go ahead. It's pretty likely you'll make it, but I want to check. So roll cover. It's 4 dice.
4 bars.
Yeah, 4
for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Four.
Okay. It's 10, 6, 6, 1.
Fantastic. I rolled a 9 and a 2, so you win. So, Pedro, the fellow that you saw, the dead guy you saw, was Turkish.
Okay.
And the language, as you know, is at least nominally in that family group. It's not, it's not ancient Indonesian or something like that. And so, and then, of course, there's this information that will take you to, and you're looking it up. You're like, you know that Istanbul's in Turkey, and you're like, Konya, what's that? And are looking it up on a map and saying, oh my God, it's right in the middle. I'm actually going to the middle of Turkey. What's there?
I probably asked the guys if they knew any Ahmed. It gave them the description. Did anyone die in recently like this? And they probably say no.
No. That's and also they'll laugh at you and say, "You mean John?" No, that's like there's somebody looking at you and said, "That's like Sven." Yeah. So, but you will fly, and to make it a short story, At the end of the flight, we can hear one of the passengers complaining to the steward of the cabin that they expected this. They thought they were in a civilized airline. They haven't smelled piss in an airplane before, except back when they flew in the Southwest United States. There was an airline, Southwest Airline, that was notable for its decreasing quality before it went bankrupt, and so for a while all the Americans hated Southwest Air.
Okay.
So this guy obviously flew on Southwest Air back then, and so he refers to it when complaining about the smell on this plane. So,
okay.
I found some great pictures. The city's spectacular at night, and it is laid out with a lot of circles. There's a circular downtown, and there's a lot, and the basic pattern is like a spider web out in these bigger circles. I mean, it's a real city, so it's not perfect with these circles, but it's pretty dramatic. And for some reason, a lot of the parks and monuments are in circular plazas. So that's one of the first visual impressions I got from looking at the pictures. There's a very extensive downtown with skyscrapers. There are, and as is common in many of the Turkish cities, as I think anyway, there are some pretty prominent religious architecture, but they are not all that same Arab look, which is basically the Orthodox Church when you take the cross off. So it's just the dome, right?
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud? Okay.
And so, go ahead.
Yeah, and so but that's what it looks like if you were over in the Levant. If you were in the Levant or Arabia proper, the mosques would look like that. They would look like the fortress with the dome, and that's that. But in Turkey, you are looking at some pretty old and very elaborate, different architecture, different kinds of towers, different kinds of buildings, different kinds of archways, all sorts of things. Every one of them is completely different. And many of them, especially in this city, are like estates, like whole districts for a given temple, most of them are Muslim, but a number of them are strange branches of Islam. In fact, the European name, which I don't think is very respectful, is Whirling Dervish. But the original the name, yes, exactly. But the name of the what is it, Sevenya? No, I can't say it. There's a name for the sect itself, the real name.
I forgot the name, but do you know what did?
What
do you know why they dance? And
no.
Their hands. Okay, their dance. They are representing the world.
Right.
Okay. The upper hand is to the sky. It represents the creation power given by God or Allah in Muslim, and this hand is downwards and it goes to the world.
Right.
And they're
channeling it.
Head,
yes.
They're channeling it, and their heads are almost at a lower side, so they're really respectful to God, and they're always circling around.
And so the reason I bring all this up is that this is the home city.
Yep.
This is the district where this whole thing began, and it's like the Taj Mahal. It's an amazing structure and district for the whole thing. So,
in order to add to your information, just as a small memo, Konya is a really, really ancient city. I have been there when I was a little kid, so I kind of remember vaguely. Mm-hmm. It's a really religious place.
Yes.
Really religious.
Yeah.
And it's violently religious. I'm
yes.
going to say violent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my understanding too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say that if you drink alcohol in the street, people
mm-hmm.
are going to beat you up.
Right.
It's that harsh.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's a big place. It's called the wheat depot, the wheat silo. Yeah. It's mm-hmm. the most
agricultural center. Yeah.
And and it's a really since I said religious, it's also the death place of the famous poet Rumi.
Yes.
Maybe you know. Yeah.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rumi is a really famous poet,
Mhm.
and it's worldwide known.
Right.
And
Mhm.
it was a death place, and he lived there, and he created his own
Right.
sect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Middle Eastern poetry was very big in my childhood in California.
Okay.
Because so all of the Lebanese poets and the Turkish and Persian poets and philosophers, all of the Californians were reading all of these things and going, wow.
Okay.
So I grew up with that. So
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. Just want to let you know that you fly into what is actually surprisingly it's against stereotype. It's really, you could be flying right into a Nordic city in terms of its technology, traffic, and just general sense of, it's like landing in San Francisco. You look around and you say, wow, this place is kind of, clean.
Different.
Yeah. So that's the impression. I will end tonight. I know it's not very much action, but I will end tonight with the two of you meeting each other.
Okay.
Because you are the police authority for this situation. Ahmed is actually kind of in charge, the police captain for this particular area district. And then Ingmar, of course, is going to have to meet and be sort of taken care of, at least officially, by Ahmed. So you would be I don't know if you would meet him at the airport or somebody will meet him.
So.
Yeah.
It's much better that he will bring them to the station.
Right. Like right. So somebody will meet him and bring you to the station. And so you get kind of a look at the city. And you are ethnic. Ingmar is ethnic Portuguese and Swedish.
Yeah,
which is
like
not
that.
too unusual for Stockholm in particular. And so for, Stockholm is a pretty international place. And but I will say that Sweden in general, I don't know if you have been to any of the Nordic countries, Ibars, by any chance? No. Speaking as an American, the extreme specificity of the ethnic faces is striking. So the point is that just going through the train and everything through a huge Anatolian / Mediterranean city, you are going to see an incredible range of body types and faces and appearance of all kinds. Just, every eye color, every skin color, everything. Just even in the middle of Turkey, which is not the same as Istanbul, you are still going to see a lot more variety than you will ever see in Sweden. So, when you get, I don't know what the police station would look like. We'll have to find some pictures for a police station in Konya.
Okay.
But we'll find some. But you will meet a man who is, I think, a little bit older than you. Ingmar is not young, but I think Ahmed is just a little bit older. But the two of you will recognize each other's profession very easily. Are you wearing like a short black leather jacket or something like that from the pictures that you sent, Pedro? You had kind of a...
I would probably wear like an actual, like, more formal...
Okay, yeah, for this purpose, yeah. And so then...
like in the pictures that I sent, actually. It's
okay,
like
I'll double check those, yeah.
Yeah, check those.
And so then... and I imagine Ahmed as being a very... Well, he takes care of his appearance. He takes care of his official presentation.
Yeah.
So...
He wears a two-piece suit.
Yes.
Like he wears I'm gonna say dark blue or black, well shaven and with tie. Everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the two of you would probably be speaking English together.
Yep.
And you may not speak absolutely perfect English, but I think with your educational backgrounds for both of the characters, both of you are perfectly capable of getting along in English. maybe throwing in some extra words or explaining certain words or checking them with each other or something like that. Basic schoolboy language that both of you can use. And it gets better with practice every day for both of you. So within time, you can just converse, I think. And so you can introduce each other in English. And just as you are kind of looking at each other professionally, how serious is this guy? Is this guy an asshole? What is this going to be like? Just as you are looking at each other professionally, you start to notice some other things. Let's see. So you roll. Each of you will roll your lore.
Okay, I'm gonna roll four dice for me.
Yeah, and you will roll 2 dice for.
I will have to ask you to.
Right, I will roll your dice for now. Right. Okay. So Ivars, go ahead.
Yeah. 2 lore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my it's a disaster.
Mm.
My highest die is 3, followed by 2, 2, 2.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this guy looks like some kind of. You were expecting a Viking.
Yeah.
Right. You were expecting a Viking because it's just a stereotype and all the rest of it. And so this guy who looks a lot more generalized European with darker complexion. Now, some Swedes have black hair, but he has like really black hair. And so so he looks a little more southern than you expected. But regardless, culturally, right, Pedro, Ingmar culturally is just Swede all the way, I think. So so that's one thing. But you don't notice something else. Let's reverse it. Roll those 4 dice again, and I'll explain this roll later if you want. This is kind of complicated. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's 8, 4, 3, 2.
Got it. Well, this is quite fascinating, all right? You just see this very straight-laced, very formal, very professional guy. I mean, he looks like he runs an administration and a police force. He doesn't look like he's just some politician. You're like, okay, that guy, he's real police. So you get that, but neither of you notices each other as sorcerers. But there is one more thing. So, Ibars, if you can roll your lore 4 dice against one other thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's 7, 4, 4, 2.
Excellent. You definitely see where no dog should be. Where no dog should be, you see peeping out from just around that corner, just behind him, or maybe even just like from behind his suitcase or something. You see this dog looking out at you, and the expression in its eyes is not like a dog at all.
Okay.
Right. It takes one, and you know this guy is followed by a demon. You don't know if he knows, because you have not recognized him as a sorcerer, but a demon came with this guy. Somebody very much like Solomon.
Okay.
Pedro, make your roll. 2 dice. So roll 2 dice for him, please, Ibars. Yeah.
It's 5, 2.
Okay. Well, so far, Ingmar has no idea what he's walking into. So, sooner or later you will find that Ahmed likes to keep a cat in his office, but you don't know anything. There's no sign right now of any such issues. So that's what you know about each other, aside from the professionalism. That gives us a little starting context. There's no rule that says you are supposed to keep anything secret from each other, but the profile of perception is a nice starting point.
I think it's quite a cool situation. Actually.
Yeah,
the way it turned out.
Yeah. So that will end us, I think, for now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very quiet beginning, but I think you can see there's a lot of room. Now that a lot of the pieces are there, and we will have some fun with that, if that's okay.
All right. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.